Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I'm a youth services librarian at the Rock Island Public Library, and July is Graphic Novels in Libraries Month, and so today I have 4 books for you that are all available through our Hoopla app. Comics Plus, obviously, they also have a lot of comics and graphic novels, but I figured I'd focus on Hoopla, just given sort of, well, current movie adaptations or recent comic to streaming TV adaptations. And with that in mind, the first book is Riri Williams' Ironheart. And I'm actually bringing 2 books for this one because the one you see in the thumbnail of this video, it was checked out. So this is the second book by Ewing, Chicago poet, writer, she's great. But it's the 4th book in the series, and I think this is part of what confuses people with comics. So this was the first Ironheart book. This was by Brian Michael Bendis. It was part of an Iron Man series, and there were 2 books in that series. And then there were 2 books in this series by Ewing. So this is first book and 4th book, different authors, different series technically, but following the same character. And so Ironheart, it's streaming on Disney Plus right now. If you haven't seen that, maybe you saw Wakanda Forever, so you already have been introduced to this character. She is a brilliant young inventor who lives in Chicago and is dealing with the fact that, okay, she's trying to build her own armor, but she's also kind of dealing with different stuff in her life. The death of her stepfather and her best friend. I think the streaming series kind of gets more into that because in Wakanda Forever, we just meet this person and understand, oh, they're a genius, they're an engineer, but in this book, we kind of learn more about sort of the supernatural side. Riri is a great character in the sense that she's very relatable as a young person trying to figure out her place in the world, but she's also this sort of great starting point in the Marvel universe in the sense that she is somebody who is very much part of the technology side, but she also gets into kind of the supernatural, magical side. And you get that in this graphic novel where she's having to do battle against various supernatural foes and deal with the fact that, well, the person I'm fighting, it's not just that, oh, they have these different abilities than I do. Like, she's literally having to deal with her past and having to face it in the way of, well, okay, these are, like, yeah, I've had lots of hard stuff in my life, but I have lots of great people in my life as well. And so that sort of is a big part of her journey and how in traveling to Wakanda, but then eventually coming back to Chicago, this sort of informs like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. This is who I want to be. So if you enjoy graphic novels or if you enjoyed this streaming series, I mean, check these out because you can learn more about this character. I will also say, if you're looking forward to the new Fantastic Four movie, I am too, but I've just read more comics about this character. So it was like, I'll talk about these and try and, again, clear up the fact that 1 character, 2 series, but you could just read all 4 in order and kind of get the origin of this character. Next, this book is a bit of a backlist bump, but it's one of those books that comes up a lot when you hear about Superman or books about Superman are recommended. So this is Superman for All Seasons. And in this book, you meet Clark Kent. You get literally, like, the title comes from the fact that book's divided into 4 sections. Each section is a season, so it starts in spring. And this part of the book is told from the point of view of Clark Kent's father, Jonathan Kent. So he's talking about, you know, watching his son grow up and when he graduated from high school and left home to go and live in Metropolis, work for the Daily Planet, all that good stuff. And then in part 2, when we get to summer, we're starting to get into Lex Luthor and Superman having this antagonistic relationship because Luthor's up to some stuff and Superman can come out of nowhere and save the day. And so this second part, it's from the point of view of Lois Lane. And her whole thing is she's trying to deal with the phenomenon that is Superman as a journalist. And so for her, she's going by what Perry White has told her. And it's the idea that a reporter lives by 3 rules. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see, and everything you write. And so it's her in the sense that, well, okay, I'm starting to, on the one hand, believe that this person is a hero and really just helping people because they can. And that's sort of a big part of the book. Like, Jonathan Kent, he's thinking like, well, this is my kid and I'm worried about him. Like, I want things to go okay in his life. And different people obviously have different points of view on this character. Like for Lois Lane, she's coming at it from, I would say, like a cynical but also a very realistic perspective. This idea being like, well, wait a minute, what does this person have to gain? Why are they doing all this? And then Fall, okay, that's Lex Luthor. And Lex Luthor, it goes beyond cynicism in his case. His whole thing is, this is my city. I built Metropolis into what it is. I'm going to destroy Superman because, I mean, for him, it's just like, he's not the center of attention anymore. And he doesn't understand this thing, this person, and so he doesn't trust it. And he's thinking, okay, well, basically makes it so Superman, he gets into the situation where he's able to help people, save Metropolis, but he can't save an individual person. And in sort of engineering the scenario, like Lex Luthor's whole thing is, go back to wherever you came from before you fail us all. Because to him, he thinks Superman is about what you see in public, what you see in the world of this book, which is like people loving Superman and like applauding and cheering for this person. And Luthor doesn't understand that that's not why Superman does what he does. He's not helping people because he wants that to be how people see him. That's not even really how he sees himself. It's just more of, well, I can do this, so I should be doing this. That's a big part of the book. I can help people, and I have the power to do that, so I should. So if you don't know a lot about Superman, or if you've not read a lot of books, this one's a really good starting place because it just gets into the idea of who this character is and how other people see him. And I'm really glad that the new movie seems to be getting good reviews. I was looking forward to it. I love James Gunn's movies, so I had high expectations, and now it's like, oh, it seems like, yeah, this is going to be really good. So I'm looking forward to that. If you're also looking forward to the new Superman movie and kind of the new DC, what is going on with that cinematic universe, check this out. This is a great place to start reading Superman, or if you've read other Superman books and you're kind of looking for something unique, this is definitely that too. Jeph Loeb is the writer. Tim Sale, he passed away, I believe, in 2018, but he has this really just unique art style. Like, what he does, it doesn't quite look like anybody else in mainstream comics. And so you can kind of see, like, there are these big vistas. There are, like, these huge cityscapes, and also, you know, moments like this where Superman is, like, stopping a missile. But then you also just have, like, again, like, character designs that are really unique. So if you're interested, check this out. Next, this book's another backlist bump, and it is called Misfit City. And this book came out in 2017. In fact, I think it's just 2 volumes long, so I think both books came out then. And in this book, you will meet a variety of teens. Wilder is sort of the main character here, although you kind of meet everybody in her friend group. Here she is selling coffee and being asked for directions. This is where she works, the coffee hut. And the thing to know about Wilder is she lives in this town in the Pacific Northwest that is famous for a cult classic movie called The Gloomies, which you can probably imagine. I mean, it's The Goonies, but it's like, well, but for copyright purposes, this is a different, intellectually distinct property. And so the whole idea for Wilder is she's lived in Cannon Cove her whole life. She's ready to leave. She will miss her best friends, but at the same time, it's like, I gotta get out of this place. Except Wilder finds this treasure map. So the deal with this map is a local, this old man named Captain Denby, has passed away. And so Macy, one of Wilder's friends, tours at the Cannon Cove Film Museum. And it starts with an alarm going off at this museum. So Macy has to go and figure it out. And, I mean, she's okay, but the paramedics get called. Somebody did break into the museum and knocked Macy out. So, at this point, these guys are looking at this map like, hang on, is this what the person was looking for? What if it's real? Like, okay, fine, it could just be some elaborate, weird old map that's a fake and doesn't lead to anything. But for Macy and Wilder, they're both kind of on the same page of, well, hang on, let's check this out. So the book follows this group as they're trying to follow the map, and they know that the lore of their town is sort of just, it's been mythologized by people who love the movie that was filmed there years ago, but there's real history there too. Some of it does seem to be borderline supernatural, and maybe there is a treasure, and maybe they need to find it for the person who tried to steal the map at the start of the book can get there instead. So if you like adventure stories, if you like graphic novels that kind of get into history, mysteries, this is that. Because yes, somebody else is interested in this whole treasure thing, but I feel like it doesn't really come up until the second volume, exactly what and who they're dealing with, like who they actually have to worry about. So if you're interested, check this out. Again, both volumes are available through Hoopla. Last, this book is a manga. It is called Leviathan. And huge news if you've watched previous videos that I've made about manga on Hoopla. I checked this one out to check. This was, I forget exactly when, but basically sometime this spring, Hoopla fixed the issue where if you were reading a manga, so manga reads right to left because that's how Japanese is written, there was a time when you were having to turn pages left to right. And reading right to left while turning pages left to right, to me, was confusing. But as far as I can tell, with this book at least, Hoopla has fixed that issue. So now you're reading right to left and you're turning pages in the same direction. So they fixed whatever, I guess, issue with the formatting of the ebook was. And so now you have a much better reading experience, I would say. And in this book, you are going to travel to the future. And in the future, there is a group of students. They're on a class trip. And what we find pretty early on is they were born on an exoplanet. And they're visiting Earth for the first time. These are junior high students. They've never been to Earth before. And we learn a little about the fact that, well, people who live on Earth, they maybe sort of look down on people who live on exoplanets. The idea being like, oh, well, you know, you're not like us. You are from a different place, which is how xenophobia always works. But in this case, for the kids on the ship, what they find as they travel is that they aren't alone in the vacuum of space, and somebody damages the ship they are on. It is attacked to the point that the hull is damaged, and these explosions are such that a lot of air is suddenly and explosively expelled from the ship. Now, the problem here is there are few dozen students on this trip. I mean, they have food, they have what they need at least to get to Earth, or they did before these explosions, because now the ship isn't moving. And the idea is, okay, well, we'll just wait to get rescued, you know, this is a pretty standard sort of path between our planet and Earth. It's not like nobody's ever going to travel this way again. But this is Futaba on the cover here. And she and her friend Kazuma, like these two, they're friends in the sense that Futaba doesn't talk to a lot of people, and Kazuma, okay, I mean, the two of them, they hang out, and they just happen to follow their teacher because they're curious about, hey, what the heck is going on? Because they've felt the explosions, they've heard something of, like, there's some sort of problem on the ship we're traveling on. That's not great. And so they overhear their teacher talking to this maintenance robot. And the maintenance robot explains, there's not enough air on this ship anymore to keep everybody alive for more than 3 days. So that's the bad news. And the worst news is, well, there's like a cryogenic pod. There's a cold storage pod on the ship, but only one person will fit inside. So we find out about this because in the future, like this book, the framing device is, we start with some astronauts and they are exploring the ship. They're kind of just gonna strip it for parts, probably. These are scavengers. And one of them picks up Kazuma's journal. Kazuma, we find, again, at the start of the book, he's writing about the trip, as you would if you went on a class trip, potentially, except this one quickly descends into horror. Because Futaba's whole thing, she takes care of the teacher, is what I'll say about that. And she basically says to Kazuma, look, we need to keep this a secret. What's better? I mean, we can just let our classmates know, and they'll kill each other. I mean, this whole ship will turn into a bloodbath when people realize only one of us is going to live. Or the two of us can figure something out. We've got a few days. Let's just keep this a secret. Except Kazuma's keeping this journal. And at one point, another classmate reads it. And so then Kazuma has to figure out, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to keep this person quiet? And I will say by the end of this first book, book one, the secret's out. And so, yes, as Futaba feared, I mean, chaos has just taken over this ship, and the kids have kind of split up and they've grabbed weapons, and at least one person is dead in sort of the initial panic of realizing, hey, only one of us probably is going to get off this ship, if that. And like one kid in the class, he's like, hey guys, my family's rich, you should let me have this. And everybody's like, your money's not gonna matter if we're dead. Like, none of us care about that. We just want to get out of this situation. But with no sign of rescue coming and with only 3 days of air left, there's going to be a lot of bad stuff happening in the time between the discovery of all this and when the journal is discovered by the astronauts. So I will say this is only a 3-volume manga series, which I really like. Another one I've talked about this year is Lost Lad London, and I like a story like that where it's, oh, this is a really interesting premise, and I know going in that the resolution is going to come very quickly, within 3 books. Obviously, you get into sort of the personalities of the characters and their existing relationships and how that affects how they act when all of this goes down. So on the thumbnail of this video, you're going to see the astronaut reading the diary. That's volume 2, and I just really love the art. The cover art's lovely, but even the interior art is just really detailed and kind of helps to drive home the horror premise of, well, look, we're not getting into a lot of strange supernatural stuff here. Like, this is sci-fi, obviously, because they're traveling in space, but at the end of the day, it's not so much about the situation or how the people in this book got to that place. It's more about, okay, so what would people do in this situation? If only one person can fit in the cryotube and be preserved until they're rescued, well, how are we going to decide who lives and who dies? So if you like horror, if you like dystopian fiction, check this out. And thank you for watching. I will see you again soon.